Hey guys, this is Locke. This is a new series that I'm going to start, and I'm going to start with Mediena. This series is basically focusing on some heroes that were meta for a while and then that have fallen out of favor, and how I think we can fix them. Now, let me talk a little bit about what I mean. So, with EX buffs and then again with the Mastery buff, some of the heroes have started to become more powerful, but I often find that they also fall off shortly after when everyone else also gets the same EX buffs and so on and so on. So I feel like we need to give these heroes something special to make them relevant and to actually compete with some of the other meta heroes that are around right now. And the first hero that I was thinking of starting this off with was Mediena. Now, a lot of people on day one players, a lot of us have re-rolled for Mediena because she was so powerful when it started. Her LB just did so much damage. If you had her and you're fighting her in arena, oftentimes she wins games by herself, way back then. And she was also very useful and helpful in clearing all kinds of PvE stages as well, because she did very high damage AoEs that lets you clear all kinds of content so much faster. So a lot of people got a lot of use out of her, way back when the game was first released. Nowadays, she's fallen out of favor. There aren't really too many people using her. Even after EX buff, she got some more use, but still, it wasn't enough to, uh, you know, it's not enough that I see her often in any kind of PvP content. PvE, sure, I mean, you could use her, but there are just so many better, especially with like calculator classes, they're just so much better and easier to use that I don't really think um, uh, she, I don't see people using her so often. Now with her mastery buff that she got in JP, that's probably going to be coming to us at some point, probably by the 2-year anniversary or something. I don't think it's enough that she'll still be used. Sure, again, she might be used a little bit more because the upgrade to her LB is still pretty significant. But I think as more and more units get their second mastery ability, their mastery upgrade, I think those units will again start outclassing her, that she will start falling again. So, how would I fix it? So again, this is my personal opinion. Whatever I say doesn't mean that Gumi's going to do it, but this is how I personally would fix it. And you guys might have different options as well. Let me know what you guys think. How would you fix Mediena if you had a chance to fix her? But this is my take on it. So I actually like this skill of. So I like something unique about Mediena. So she has, Ninja Sub and Green Mage Sub, right? Which means that she has access to this passive. Actually, I'm going to go to the English version because I can't read these. Okay, so she has Emerald Echo, which increases her buff duration by 1, right? And she also has the Ninja Sub, which means that she has Utasemi. Well, they gave her Utasemi. It doesn't mean that she will get it by default, but thankfully she has Utasemi. So this means that if you use both of them in combination, she actually gets plus 60 evade for 2 turns. So this I think is kind of unique, right? And I think this could be expanded upon further. But I think what's preventing Mediena from really being a good evasive character is that all her skills, except for her LB, have a cast time, and when you're stuck casting a spell, your evade is 0. So no matter how well you buff her evade, if you give her 20 more evade or increase her luck significantly or whatever else you do, it doesn't really matter because most of the time she'll be casting a spell. She doesn't really have stuff that decreases her cooldown like crazy. So most of the time, unfortunately, she's kind of not really evasive because she's casting something, except for her LB. But then, I don't think her LB is enough. I don't think she does enough damage with it that just that one skill is enough to make her, evasive. Because if you are running her evasive, right? If you're putting her in evasive teams, you're probably going to put 3 vision cards that are all evasive cards. And so her damage capability is not going to be so high. So, one thing that you can do is remove her cast times or give her some way to some passive that significantly decreases her cast time. I don't think Kumi's going to do this. And even if they did, I'm still not convinced that she will see a lot of use. So the first reason is because she's a mage type character, right? She's not a calculator, and mage type characters, even Black Rose Helena, typically has cast time, right? And they might give her a passive that decreases cast time by say 350 or something, but still For Black Rose Helena, it's okay if she has a little bit of cast time because she's not evasive. Mediena, if she's trying to be evasive, it's just not going to work. So unless they like completely remove cast time and make her like a calculator, which then okay, it becomes redundant. Why does there have to be two classes with basically the same thing, right? So I don't know if they're gonna go like I don't see them really doing that. And even if for some reason, suppose they did, right? Like suppose I got my wish and she has 0 cast time on all of her damaging skills. How does she stand out from Halloween Leela? I don't think she does. Maybe she's the same as Halloween Leela or worse, because Halloween Leela also has her white mage skills, like full life, and she has a ton of healing spells that Mediena doesn't have access to. And so, I mean, of course, she's a different element. So if you're fighting wind units, of course you want Mediena instead of Halloween Leela. But aside from the elemental differences, I don't think Mediena really offers enough that even if you buff her buffer evasion by removing cast time, I still don't think she's going to be used as frequently as some of the other mages. Because if you want to use somebody like, with 0 cast time, I think you would generally just go with Halloween Leela. So instead, I started thinking about, okay, well, what else can we do? Why was Mediena so powerful back then? The reason she was so powerful and so used and everyone really liked her was because she was a tank killer, right? And so I said, okay, what if we go back to her roots and redesign her as a way to become a tank killer again? So what I'm proposing is to give her some kind of a unique passive that gives her additional skill modifier by the number of the opponent's defense. So for example, if you're fighting against Engelbert and he has 40 defense, all her skills get a plus 40 additional modifier to her attack. Now this does a couple of things. One of the things it does is if you are still somehow convinced that you want to run her on an evasion-based team, and you have 3 evasion cards, she will still be able to do pretty high damage thanks to this new passive that she gets, especially against tanks. Against like other units like non-defense bruisers, like status bruisers, or even like other units like Titus or something, right? Like those units that don't really have defense, she won't be doing as much damage to them, obviously. So she retains her strength as a tank killer by melting tanks that have very high defense, while at the same time not really improving much against other units. Like for example, like Titus might have 15 defense or something, right? So she gets plus 15 to her damage modifier. That's not going to significantly do so much more damage. It might do a little bit more damage, but you might meet an Engelbert with like 40 to 60 defense, and that's probably going to be significant enough that Mediena will be a threat again. In addition to that, if they give her some kind of cast time decrease, that can really put some interesting builds around her, where you're able to run her even more efficiently as a evasive character, while also being able to do a lot of damage to tanks because of this new passive that I brought up. If you're not building her as an evasive character, you are still able to do significant damage, especially to these tanks, right? And I specifically think that it should be such that it increases based only on defense, not spirit, because I really want her to be a tank killer, like specifically a tank killer, like kill all these Engelberts or Kingwants that have very high defense, but not against Charlotte. Like I want Charlotte to still be able to survive Mediena and be able to tank her very well. I think that's a good balanced decision to only make it affect defense and not spirit. And still, I mean, you're still going to be able to cut her defense. Sorry, still going to be able to cut her offensive capabilities by investing in magic resistance or spirit or something like that. But she will stand out as a tank killer, and she will have something unique. And I think that she will actually be used when we come face to face against these very defensive comps. I think she will have a place in them, and I think it would actually make her stand out and unique and see a lot more play. So that's how I would fix Mediena. I think something like that would make her truly stand out and give her a place in today's meta again. But what are your ideas? What do you guys think? Right? How would you fix Mediena? What would you give her, such that you think that yourself or other people might use her more often? Now I said this is a series, and I do intend to, try to come up with more of these units as well. But feel free to give me suggestions. I have to say a caveat here: if it's a unit that I've just not used, I can't really tell you how to fix it, because on top of not really using it, I don't know what that unit would need to do something else. Like if you say, "Hey, how do I fix Eileen?" I have no clue, because I just don't know. I mean, I can try. I can try to attempt it, but but probably it will not be that good, because Mediena, I used her a lot back then. I used her when she came out. I rerolled for her. I used her a lot in PvP. I really, I know what made her strong back then. So I can, in my opinion, I can say, hey, if you give her this, she'll probably be good again. She'll probably be used again. So that's my opinion on Mediena. If you guys have other opinions, think about units that were meta before and then fell out of favor. So if it's all these units that's kind of sucked, like Yerma or something. I mean, Yerma was good for a very little time, and I didn't even use her, so I can't really tell you too much about her. Like, how do I fix her? I have no idea. But if there are particular units, like Tancred is one that I could probably do. But if there's a unit that you think that, hey, this was good for a while, and then it fell out of favor as things became more and more, as meta changed, and it was never really picked up again, how would you fix this? So let me try. I'll give you my thoughts. Right. This is probably, like, I have very little faith that any of what I say is going to be implemented by Gumi, but it's a fun exercise, right? I think like theory crafting, or like, if this had this, I would use it. I think that's just kind of fun to think of and do. Maybe it's not for everyone, but I decided to open up this can of worms or whatever, and see what you guys think. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the series somewhat too.